Get ready to quit the build.
Here we go!
The QTB Crew is rounding up all the gaming news and hot topics of the week with a little extra something. And here are your hosts, Bruno, Brad, and Nick.
What it do? You're listening to the QTB podcast. I'm your host, Bruno, and with me are the boys of QTB, our co-hosts, Nick and Brad.
Happy to be here. Of course, I guess our new name, we discussed this during our live stream pre-show, are the Brothers McMuffin. I didn't know that's a thing, but
yeah.
I do love me an Egg McMuffin. If I'm going to go to McDonald's, that's going to be my go-to, right, Brad?
Oh,
well, then call me sausage, because I'm a sausage McMuffin, if you know what I mean.
I got news for you two. Today's podcast was sponsored in part by Egg McMuffin.
Today we will receive a Egg McMuffin.
Yes!
How you say this word? Egg McMuffin. I can't say it. I'm sorry. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Tough to say.
Okay. Today we're going to receive an Egg McMuffin. Egg McMuffin.
Get it together.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't.
Wow. What a strong opening that is. How about that? The Egg McMuffin opener. Yep.
Hey, listen, I've been working on the soundboard. I revamped it. I added tons of sounds twice accidentally because it was late at night when I did this.
Bing bong.
So, there's lots of new things in here for us to play around with because I felt like it needed an update. Thanks to Epic Capture Productions for giving me Elden Ring so I could play that, and that just inspired me to just go ahead and add a bunch of new soundboards to it. So thank you, Epic Capture Productions, for getting me on the Elden Ring train. I'm on board. It's been
fun watching you chronicle your misadventures through Elden Ring.
Oh,
playing your way, buddy. Yeah, we'll get into it because as we have been adding to our episodes, where we are going to have that segment there, where we get to talk about what we are playing, and our listeners can tell us what they're playing as well. So there's some juicy tidbits there with Bruno's Elden Ring adventures. And a little bit later, we're going to be talking about 343, specifically Halo Infinite, and just the rough week I think they've been having with between departures and some social media mishaps, and season 2 being pretty underwhelming. To be totally honest, we'll kind of give our impressions of what we're getting and what the reaction has been so far to season 2. But guys, the big story for today, and I'm going to tell you, this is a pretty exciting state of play because typically when you go in and to recap, this is a Sony state of play that actually did occur. Usually when we get well, John, that's correct. A Sony state of play happened. Woo! Normally, you are looking for those exclusives when a state of play comes out, more information about existing or sometimes even new announcements for Sony games. That's kind of their little spot to do it, much like Nintendo does with their directs. But this time around, and they did tell us in advance that the theme for this one was going to be more of a focus on their Japanese publishers and developers, which meant that it wasn't necessarily going to be about exclusives. And so, if you went in there thinking that what you were seeing was stuff that was just going to be, all PlayStation exclusives, as is their MO.
You were expecting.
Yeah.
And instead you got.
Well, I mean, again, if your goal is, I want all the things and I don't want anyone else to have them.
That was a fart.
Yeah, you
that
probably.
Was a fart.
Good to know. Very good. But yeah, I mean, it's overall a very exciting state of play. What I'm getting at is, regardless of what platform you play on, a lot of big multi-platform announcements that are very exciting for everybody involved. So
this was a state of play for everyone.
There it is. Play has no limits, as they say, including their console. There you go. It's exceeded the limit. But no, before we get into that, there was some. I'll go into the one thing that was an exclusive for the PlayStation as we kind of go down this list. And again, a lot of it was returning content that we already knew about, more information about games like Forspoken. But one exclusive announcement that did come out is DLC for Returnal. We are getting a new entry there called Returnal Ascension. Okay, it's going to be an update that will add both a much-needed co-op mode. I think that is a very smart addition to Returnal. And also
smart addition to any game.
You can't go wrong.
Let's be honest, right?
Yeah. But also a kind of endless dungeon style kind of in-game called the Tower of Sisyphus that will allow you to just kind of play an endless
Tower
changing.
Of Syphilis? What did you say?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Get some
cream.
There's a joke there that I'm gonna Preparation H.
Guess who?
Oh no! Oh, not him.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I mean, I'll ask you this, Brad, because I think if we were to list off a lot of the biggest PS5 exclusives right now, it is a relatively short list. But I think a lot of people really like Returnal, especially the studio that created that game is now an in-house developer for Sony, right? They used to be independent, but were mostly making Sony exclusive games. Now they're right in there with the mix, a housemark. What do you think? Is this going to be a big update for people that are looking for more of that PS5 exclusive goodness, or do you think they came out of this with that being the only real big reveal, feeling a little underwhelmed?
I mean, I'm biased, right? We know this. The listeners know this. I'm an Xbox loyalist through and through. I don't know what PlayStation and Sony can do right now to really wow anyone but their core following, right? So for me, looking at this, it's a passover. It's kind of just a blip in the screen, right? But maybe for the core followers, there's something here. I mean, I think there's going to be 2 new modes with this expansion, and you can now, I think there's going to be a co-op feature, which is something new that I think for players who are a fan of the game can really now bring a friend and play kind of a duo, co-op. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. Like I just feel like right now everything seems to be kind of lukewarm when it comes to announcements with Sony and PlayStation.
Right.
I agree. There's not much you can really argue at this point in terms of exclusives, or anything that's on the horizon has to be taken with a grain of salt in terms of what you're getting with Sony, just because of how much we've been burned in the past. A lot of the announcements looked really cool, but at the end of every announcement, the first thing everyone is always wondering is, will this be available on PC or Xbox? And the resounding answer is yes, for like 98% of the stuff you saw there, like you said, except for this Returnal DLC. And that's a huge blow. That's a problem to create hype, especially when your core base argument has always been, well, we've got exclusives. Well, not anymore. Not really, right? Like, not in the same way you used to. At one point, Grand Theft Auto was on PlayStation and only PlayStation, right? And then Xbox 360 came out, and PlayStation 3, and they opened the door, right? They left the door open, Bruno Mars style, and walked Xbox and took control of that and was like, we're going to have that too. And I think that was the biggest leverage that PlayStation has ever let go in their entire life, was the exclusive with Grand Theft Auto. And we've talked about it before on the podcast. There's no way they're going to reverse that deal. Right. Grand Theft Auto makes too much money to simply. I think they might make more money than Sony.
I was gonna say, it would be them buying Sony, not the other way around.
Exactly.
They've got crazy money. Yeah, it's interesting because on our social media accounts, especially Twitter, where I think a lot of gamers are most vocal in the wrong ways, where fanboyism kind of finds that polarizing extreme.
Twitter.
It does. Yes, Twitter of all places.
Twitter is toxic. What?
Yeah. But a lot of what I'm seeing, because I have a pretty unbiased Twitter feed because we are just involved in the gaming space and following a lot of gaming centric journalists and accounts. So I have a pretty good finger on the pulse of not just like what's trending, but also what's the frequency of things that are being talked about in terms of consoles. And right now, you got to figure you have the release of Elden Ring, which multi-platform and completely overshadowed. We talked about this last episode. Horizon Forbidden West. It also overshadowed Gran Turismo 7. That released, by the way. It got good reviews. Don't get me wrong. Just like Horizon Forbidden West, they're very good games. And I think it's great now that if you are a PlayStation fan that saw, the new Forza game come out, and you're like, oh man, we need that racer. Good. I'm glad that a solid racing title is finally available. That is a PS5 exclusive, and of course, if it's going to be anything, it's going to be Gran Turismo. But just the fact that, like I said on social media, Elden Ring has completely eclipsed the release of those two games. And if I am a Sony executive, regardless of the sales numbers for those games, I've got to be a little bit worried because, like you said, Bruno, they're kind of losing that narrative of exclusives. And I think that this state of play, which is going to be showcasing, I think, a lot of their content to come. I think 2022 is going to be a pretty slow year for exclusives on every front, aside from maybe Nintendo. Nintendo's going to have a good year. Yeah.
And to build on that, Nick, here's a hot take. And shout out to Dudas Monk for his comment as well. But I agree, like, if they're just now selling more PS4s and PS5s, I would be pissed if I was a PS5 owner. How much effort are they putting into the new console? Mm-hmm. What is the quality going to be like of games if they're still now focusing on either building them to be multifunctional and play, being able to be played on both the PS4 and PS5? That tells me that their focus in terms of their development, they want it to run on that older system. So there's nothing exclusive, not only for just PlayStation, but for the PS5, where it's like Xbox, you're seeing all these games being designed for the Xbox Series S and X, like Xbox Series X and S enhanced. Where do we see that marketing, that effort, that focus for PS5 console owners? I don't see it. I'm not buying it. And I think they're struggling to figure out how to leverage, I think, a rush console that they put out that they weren't fully prepared to support. Hot take.
There you go. And that's the news. Okay. So yeah, on that note, like I said, if with Returnal,
just saying,
honest truth, and like we said many times, obviously there is a bias. Nobody in this panel is a PS5 owner, but again, like I said, because I'm able to be on socials and have kind of an unbiased view of just what the conversation is about, it's been very interesting. Just I don't think everybody expected Elden Ring to be a big hit, right? But I don't think anyone expected it to eclipse where we are today. And we'll get into more of that. It's just, when you release a full $60 game, and we talk more about $70 and $80 games these days, with no DLC needed, the whole game is there day one. Yeah, it needs some minor patching here and there, but you have the game. There's no need for a roadmap. I believe there is going to be DLC down the road, but we're good for now, right? It's tough for a lot of, on either side, for a lot of other games to kind of show up at that exact moment in time. You look back in history with gaming when those massive titles drop and all of the other poor souls that tried to release games, like what was it, when Overwatch came out, there was that steampunk game, was it Battleborn? Something to that effect?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that just got completely just washed away. And the dev team even came out and said, like, Overwatch, the timing was horrible. When you launch your game matters, but sometimes you have to plan that so far out. But that's neither here nor there.
I think part of the... Go ahead.
Bruno, I was going to say, Bruno, you should, you need to be aware of other people's, developers' game releases or other companies' games releases, but that shouldn't influence your release too much. If you're so worried about that, that tells me that you're worried about the quality of your game, right? What do you think, Bruno?
Yeah. Well, I think that you're exactly right. And that's what I was going to say, basically, that the quality of games here in terms of an open world from Horizon versus an open world from Elden Ring are night and day. Just the ability to run around in Elden Ring and acquire items with a click of a button versus the archaic style that Horizon puts you through, in which you have to literally have a wheel that goes around, and it's a cumbersome 5 seconds that you have to take to stop and then gather this before you move on, instead of making it very fluid. And if you watch YouTube and follow Video Game Donkey and Girlfriend Reviews, they did an awesome video on the problems with Horizon, and they pretty much came to the same conclusion, that it just doesn't feel like a new title. Like you said, Brad, it feels like a PS4 era game. It doesn't feel like this next gen game. And you can blame that on the chip shortage all you want, whatever it may be, but you also touted all those numbers of how many PS5s you sold, right? Like you threw that in everyone's face. So if you're saying that you've got all of these people that have PlayStation 5s, yet you're going to make more PlayStation 4s, I don't know why, but you just decided you're going to.
Yeah.
Somebody's not being honest. Somebody's not being forthright in everything. They're not giving us the whole story. And I think there's more to it than... I think you're right. I think we're seeing some floundering going on.
And if I was a developer who's been asked to contract with Sony to produce another game, an original title, an exclusive, and now you're telling me, well, you got to be prepared to either have it play on PS4 and PS5. Now as a developer, I'm going to backtrack on how many, futuristic enhancements I put in the game, because it's going to just flop on the PS4. Right? Like think about the limitations now that are put on developers to have to accommodate this kind of, jumbled mess of the console situation for Sony. Like it just really, I think, is watering down the quality of games that could be being put out for the PS5 exclusively. And you wonder, at what point does that model change? And who wants to pay $60 for a PS4 title that can be played on a PS5 today? Like,
right.
Let's be honest. I mean, it's like telling me I got to buy an Xbox, One game or an Xbox 360 game and play it on my Series X.
Yeah. You get that a lot with the Game Pass, where the overwhelming majority of the games that are on there are multi-platform and are still even new releases, but they're
I'm
using
paying what,
indie titles.
$14.99 a month for over 100 games.
Oh yeah,
$60 for one. I mean, we've gone over that business model plenty of times.
Yeah, it's a different tier of value.
I'm biased, but I just feel for my PS5 owners. I mean, so many people have bought them third party, paid over market price to get their hands on this, and you wonder, what are they getting? What is the value that they're getting out of owning a PS5 versus just sitting and continuing to play on their PS4? I'm struggling to provide a business case that warrants owning a PS5 at this point. I really don't see it.
And if this isn't just necessarily a plug for Xbox either, because
not at all.
Because Game Pass exists on PC, Game Pass exists on PC. So if you have a PC, you have access to all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's not just about, and that's the thing, right? You've got PlayStation. I'll never buy an Xbox, but I'll buy a PC. And it's like, it's the same money. It's the same, you know what I mean? You're just, instead of funding the Xbox team, you're funding Microsoft directly. It's the same account essentially. So to me, it seems like there needs to be some type of redirection, rebranding. Something needs to happen in PlayStation's ecosystem with the launch of this new PlayStation Now, or whatever it's going to be called, this new essentially Game Pass competitor. They need to have a roadmap for that is going to entice people to come over. They need to say, like, we're working on backwards compatibility. That's what you asked for. That's what we're working on. And if you take that approach, I guarantee you'll start to see people wave the fanboy flag again and say, see, that's what we wanted. That's exactly what we wanted. And that's a reason. That's a reason for me to pick up a PlayStation 5, to say, oh, I could play all the PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4 games on there. Like, obviously the 3 and 4, but, to go back to those earlier things. But again, with the acquisition of some huge company like Activision, I wonder how many games will be left to be able to be put on something like that platform that Xbox won't simply say, nope, it's ours, and you're not going to get that backwards compatibility. That's something that we're going to keep for Xbox exclusive owners. So
this episode of Quit the Build brought to you by the PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5. Please say something nice about us.
Well, let's try to look at it a different lens. I feel like Sony right now is that experienced boxer who just took a hell of a right hook in the first round and is stumbling on their feet and needs to find a way to get their footing back, right? And now they're behind and they took a Guile Sonic Boom to the chin and they're like, oh man, what am I gonna do?
Yeah,
and
you don't want that.
They need to take a step back and just pause and, like you said, Bruno, really reevaluate what their fans want, and a couple good press releases with a roadmap saying, here's what we're bringing you. This is our plan. We've got, and then kind of promise maybe they've got some other, exclusives in the back pocket. Any type of just a few good PR moves is going to put them right back in the right direction. And I think that's, to me, would be the first step, is just really getting back to square one on what their fans want. And I think that's a good first step.
To anybody who clicked on this podcast because we have the Sony State of Play as one of the news articles in there. Yeah, sorry. You're kinda, you can cue up the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme there, because and look, and this is something that I heard on Twitter quite often. That from today, from reactions from this, is that the more and more that they saw where it showed multi-platform availability for these games, and you don't usually see that until the end, right? And a lot of these games were new announcements. It is kind of a blow. It's like, man, I thought this was supposed to be Sony's thing. So, but on that note, yeah, exactly. That's my ringtone now. So every call is just like, oh, I guess my car warranty's expired.
Yeah, my car warranty's expired.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Again, man, from the same area code in California. All the scammers are out there. Except for Brad. Brad's cool. So, guys, on that note, we're going to keep moving here because we have a lot to talk about. And I tell you, going into some of these multi-platform announcements, I am very excited because, again, regardless of, for the most part, what platform you're playing on, there's a lot to get hyped about here. One big one that I want to jump into is Capcom is finally getting in the fray with an IP that is not Resident Evil. Capcom, I love you. I understand. Yeah. Mega Man doesn't make you the money bucks. I've moved past all the stages of grieving that you don't put out Mega Man games anymore. But I'm so glad that we're finally getting something unique. This is a brand new, it's a fresh IP, okay? This is called Exo Primal, okay?
Yes.
Exo Primal. So this game, it looks like a mashup of
It looks like Anthem.
Okay. No, yes and no. Anthem, that's... You're opening some wounds here, Bruno.
Right, exactly.
It looks like Anthem.
It looks like Anthem. Listen, let me tell you, when I saw this,
can I just say, for it. Nick was primed to go into how this looks like it's going to be awesome. He's ready, and you just went pew. Can we get a bing bong?
Yeah, you dropped a bomb there. There we go. Just completely derailed it. So funny.
Oh, yep, it does. It looks like, listen, you got this guy that gets this suit and starts battling all these things in this open world. It looks exactly like Anthem, except done in a city instead of out in the middle of the forest like Anthem took place. So I think that's not bad. That's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it looks kind of like Anthem, where you've got these exosuits and you're kind of... I've always stated that Anthem looked cool, even though I've never played it. Yeah. It looks cool. I probably wouldn't have a beef with it. I'd probably play 2 hours of it and be like, that game was awesome. I don't know what everybody's talking about.
Well, I feel like it kind of gave me some flavor of Dino Crisis, too. I feel like...
Thank you. Yes. And Terry agrees. Okay, he thought of Anthem, Overwatch, and Dino Crisis.
Yeah,
so this
I thought of Overwatch too.
This is where people kind of felt like they kind of got bamboozled, because I think there was some whispers now that Capcom was going to be announcing a new IP or the return of a dormant IP for a while. And so, of course, when people saw Capcom at the beginning of this trailer and then they see dinosaurs raining from the sky, you know, they thought, oh, Dino Crisis is finally coming back. That's very much a beloved franchise that a lot of people would love to see make a return. This is not Dino Crisis, but
no,
it is
it took
Capcom.
A hard turn, and then it was like
Rob Schneider is
several thousand velociraptors.
It took a hard turn.
Man.
You're like, what is this? No, the first thing I did was type, Xbox One to see if it had an Xbox One release, and you would think that the very first thing, the flagship thing that they had to show everyone on the state of play would be an exclusive, and it's not. And we're going back to this issue of like the last time we got any news about all of the exclusives that PlayStation was going to have was back at like E3. I think it was like E3 2019. Right before everything, crap hit the fan, and here we are now. None of those releases have come to fruition, really. So we're still in that waiting game, and that's a Sony state of play, right? Is like that's what I felt like a state of play from Sony should be. It should be stuff that Sony's doing, not stuff that everyone else is doing. Like when we go to Nintendo Direct, Nintendo tells us all the stuff that Nintendo's doing. Oh, right? Yeah. All the exclusives we're going to get. Yeah. Not this, and then at the end, they're like, oh, yeah, and we're going to, port these games to the thing. But the flagship stuff that they showcase is the stuff that's on your own platform. And for them to come out with this really cool game and them not be like, yeah, it's an exclusive, I wondered why you're holding a state of play.
Right. Yeah. When I initially heard the announcement for, and we'll get into it, the TMNT collection, and I'm thinking, oh man, that's an exclusive for PlayStation. That's a massive bummer. And then it's not even Switch is getting it. And hang on, we're gonna gush. But yeah, I mean, I do want to circle back to Exo Primal because this game looks like a lot of fun. So yeah, it is. It almost kind of has it reminded me of Warframe with the way the different the armor suits and that kind of thing. But I guess Anthem, Destiny, Warframe, people in mechanized
or a better
suits.
Game.
It's all right, or a better game,
or a better game, whatever.
And I think it's got a cool mode where you're going to be taking on an opposing team and dinosaurs. It kind of reminds me of what was that mode in Halo 5, Bruno? It was like the where you fought bosses, but there was also an opposing team. Like it's kind of got like a dual competitive nature to it. Oh right. Man, what was that mode called in Halo 5?
Destiny 2 has it too. There's
Destiny
a mode
2
for that.
It's like a Gambit mode in Destiny 2, I think was. Yeah. So there's that cool. I think that has a lot of potential to be a blast. It's 5-on-5 versus dinosaurs, and all hell's gonna break loose. So that sounds like that could be fun.
It looks fantastic. I mean, you just look at these cool suits of armor just taking on just massive hordes of dinosaurs. Here's my thing, and this is something that a revelation that I have had in the last year or so about my gaming preferences. I love bombastic games. I love games that are bold.
Mr. Laba Laba.
Yeah, that just lean into their art style and their music, and they just create these packages that just punch you in the face from day one. And what I have learned over time, you get that from Japanese publishers just about every time. I'm talking about your Capcoms, your Bandai Namcos, your Segas that are still out there putting out these incredible games that really lean into what Eastern game development does best, which is to just create these incredible lush themes and environments, and just give you something that you don't see elsewhere. A great example of this, right? What they call the JRPG or Japanese style RPG experience, right? We've had more westernized RPGs like Dragon Age, that kind of thing over time, but there are still those diehard JRPG loyalists, and we do have games like Tales of Arise from Bandai Namco or even Octopath Traveler that came out a couple years back that are great callbacks to that. Well, there was a company that put out a game recently called Edge of Eternity, which it is supposed to be kind of they say it's a love letter to JRPGs, but it's a Western studio that makes it. And so since I love JRPGs, I thought, okay, well, it's on Xbox Game Pass. I'm going to download this game and try it. Guys, and it got good reviews. Again, I'm not bashing the developers, but because I was looking for that style of gameplay when I think JRPG, when I think a Japanese-inspired game, even though it's a Western developer, it felt like an American game. It felt like a Western game. But you can see where they tried to have those elements, you know, the anime style kind of the voiceovers and cutscenes and the way the characters interacted, where you see the inspiration, but you can tell 100%. I got installed the game. What I saw drew me away too much because they were trying too hard to emulate it. And what I'm saying is, it's so great to see companies like Capcom come out swinging with just these gorgeous looking games that just ooze style and draw you in and make you want to play them from day one. I will absolutely be playing this game the day it comes out. I can't wait. Yeah. I love Capcom. Hate that they hate Mega Man. I love Capcom. It's a problem.
I think the titles catch you too. When a game sounds cool, you're like, damn, what are you going to play? Exo Primal.
Right?
Time to play Exo Primal.
This summer. Me a Turok.
Yeah, exactly.
Dinosaur Hunter. What?
Yeah, buddy.
All dinosaur games have cool names. Like,
man. Well, let's transition, gents, from one prehistoric creature to another, because we're talking turtles, specifically the Teenage Mutant Ninja variety. This is the announcement that really stole the show, because, and again, multi-platform. Because, you know, we have that upcoming game, right? You know, was it Return or Revenge of Shredder? Shredder's Revenge. That's going to be coming out soon from the same guys that made the Scott Pilgrim versus the World game. Yeah. So, I mean, we already have that to look forward to. But for this to be announced, this is the Mega Man Legacy Collection of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, because there were so many great games that were across multiple platforms. You had the NES kind of arcade ports, you had the Super Nintendo games, some of which were original, Mega Drive, Genesis, arcade titles, my God. I mean, come on, Bruno, you get Bruno started on sewer surfing. You know exactly what's going to happen. I knew he was ready. You can't go wrong. I still say the mariachi cover is better than the original, but that's just me.
It did pop up in YouTube.
Yeah.
When I was looking for that. I just gotta let you know.
Yeah.
Sewer surfing, if that doesn't get you pumped, if that doesn't want to make you take down some pizza aliens and all those things that were clearly from the Alien series.
Yep.
What are they? Xenomorph? Exo?
I would just call them the aliens. The aliens.
The aliens from Alien. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
Like the aliens from Alien versus Predator. Predator, and the aliens from Aliens 1, Aliens 2, and Aliens 3.
But not Alien.
But not Alien. No, Alien was in
or the lesser-known spinoff Alii.
I like it. That one.
Yeah.
All I can say, Nick, is I'm with you. When I saw this announcement, I immediately got taken back to my Super Nintendo. I spent so many hours playing Turtles in Time that it was one of the first games I can remember, kind of that 2D co-op experience where you could kind of traverse kind of 3D in the map, but like you can work with a buddy and just the level development, the experience. I remember playing with my dad, and oh man, I am so ready to be able to get back and play that again amongst all the other releases that are coming in this Cowabunga collection.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. It really is going to be such a fun playthrough.
So let's just go down the list here. So yeah, the Cowabunga collection, it's going to be just a massive, really just history of the console and even arcade titles from the franchise of just the heyday of Turtles. So right down the list here, you're getting the original TMNT arcade game, Pizza Time and all. You are getting the Turtles in Time arcade game, which, I mean, honestly, may be the GOAT. Even without sewer surfing, it plays great. It's such a blast. And by the way, the arcade games and some of the other fighter games are going to have online co-ops. You'll be able to join up with a friend and Yeah,
nice.
Kick 5 Through Time. Nice touch for a $30 collection. Yeah, they did not have to do that.
All the kids collectively said yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, from the NES, you're getting 4 games. You're getting the original TMNT. So, yeah, that underwater electric seaweed section.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be living that pain again. Mm-hmm. Which is more of a platformer, less of an arcade game. And also the TMNT 2, the arcade game, and TMNT 3, the Manhattan Project. Those are 2 games that I played the heck. You said Super Nintendo, Brad. I was an NES kid because I skipped the SNES generation. My parents checked out the Manhattan Project so many times from Video Invasion back in the day when you could rent one game for the weekend for $1, by the way. You were talking about the glory days. $1, Bob. Yep. They finally bought it for me for Christmas because I'd played it so many times. Like, just get me the freaking game. That was GoldenEye
for me.
Yeah. Oh, man. So going down the list, also the Tournament Fighters for NES. So one of the fighting games. Then on the Super Nintendo, Brad, you're getting Turtles in Time, and you're getting the Tournament Fighters game from Super Nintendo. So you're getting 2 versions of that fighting game. From the Genesis, the Hyperstone Heist, which will also be online enabled. I have not played that. I've heard good things.
Oh, I loved Hyperstone Heist.
Oh, my God.
It was good, bro. I played it on Sega Genesis, and I gotta tell you, I had that. What? I still have it. It's amazing. I will play it again. 10 out of 10. It was very.
Oh man.
Oh man. He came for the gaming news. He stayed for the soundboard. Epic Capture Productions. We hear you, brother. Oh man.
I know.
He brings the thunder. He does. In audio form.
I remember in one of those games. It was the Turtles in Time one because it was right before Shredder goes back in time. You actually throw guys at the screen because he's behind you, which was such a novel concept. I'd never played a game where it flipped the script where instead of playing in and back, you were throwing it at yourself essentially. It was such a such a fun playthrough. I'm so pumped for this.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast. Oh. So we're not done. You're also getting the Genesis version of the Tournament Fighter, so 3 different versions of that game. For the Game Boy, you're getting some Game Boy games in here. You're getting Fall of the Foot Clan, Back from the Sewers, and Radical Rescue, the 3 Game Boy Turtles titles. Say that 10 times fast. And
Nick,
then
you said this is only $30.
$30. It's free real estate.
Wow.
What the heck?
In the words of Brad,
meow.
Meow.
That is his catchphrase, apparently. Yeah, I love it. So yeah, like I said, the arcade games, Hyperstone Heist, and even the Tournament Fighters titles will feature online play, so you'll be able to duke it out and play some beat 'em ups with your friends. Coming to Xbox, PC, and Switch. And the fun doesn't stop there because they're also adding a museum mode, which will have various Turtles media throughout the ages, namely the heyday of Turtles there with the cartoons. He's going to play it again. Why wouldn't you? Sewer Surfing's probably in there.
Yeah, it is. It's got to be. It's got to be in there. Yeah. Why wouldn't you have that in there?
Wow. So, I mean...
I was going to say, that is an insanely legit stacked collection, top to bottom, 4 generations of console and arcade games. I mean, for $30, what's better than that?
When's it come out again?
It's coming out relatively soon, but I mean, the big thing is that Konami. A lot of people are saying like this might be one of the greatest things that Konami has done in a long time, just because they really haven't had a whole lot of major releases, as far as I know. But I mean, yeah, the big thing is just, man, you have to think about how much. I'm sorry, it's actually $39.99 is what they're saying. Fine. The release price. I would pay the full $60 if I'm being totally honest.
I'd still play it.
But yeah, I don't see a definitive release date as of right now. But at least if we already have an announcement and these are just ports of existing games, you got to figure it's going to come out relatively soon. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. That's going to be a fun one. But yeah, aside from that, pretty much everything else that was announced during this state of play was either something that was already known to be a PlayStation exclusive or had already been announced in the first place. There are some other notable announcements that were new. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. If you're into the freaky animes, then you're going to love you some JoJo. And they have All-Star Battle R. There is a Chihuahua that I believe is a sentient Chihuahua, so that is appropriate. That is coming out. Again, multi-platform release. The Dio Field Chronicle and Valkyrie Elysium, again, also multi-platform releases. So really, this is a Sony State of Play that really should just be called State of Play because there's something here for everybody.
It's like they did a State of the Union. It's like we had our State of the Union in America, but it was for Canada.
Right. We just do it for them. You're welcome. Yeah.
It's the State of the Union, eh?
Oh man. Well, guys, I'll tell you.
You know what? I was gonna say. You know what's an even better bargain than that Cowabunga collection?
Hit me with it.
Our Patreon, Nick. Tell him about it.
Oh my God. I was ready with the banner. I love it. You are absolutely right. It is a great bargain and a great way to support us. Thanks as always to our Patreon supporters, like our QTB and Fuego supporter, Epic Capture Productions. Also, Nick, the Dudist Monk, Indie Gamiacs, Alan Abadessa, Mr. Grove Games, the Intergalactic Pinecone, and Matt.Bat. If you would love exclusive content you can't get anywhere else, like our monthly QTB Nostalgia Vault bonus podcast, What It Do, and of course, even exclusive merch for our QTB Plus and higher tiers, you can get it all at patreon.com/quitthebuild. Tiers start as low as $2 a month. And I'll tell you, it's a great way to directly support this podcast and keep all of this amazing content you know and love flowing. Batteries not included by Mattel. No, it's not by Mattel.
It's not by Mattel.
It's not by Mattel.
It's by the PS5.
That's right. We're sponsored by the PS5. That's right. Yeah, they're gonna turn us around one day.
Yeah.
Oh, guys. Well, I'll tell you. I mean, that's all you need to hear.
Really?
That sells. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That would get me on board. I'd be there.
Guys, well, our next story is coming from PC Gamer, and I mean, this is more of a collection of stories rather than just one thing, as I had teased at the beginning of the show. The big thing right now is, with Halo Infinite, is not a lot of is really happening, and I think that kind of is the news, right? We've talked many times about the very hype release of Halo Infinite when the multiplayer dropped kind of expectedly but unexpectedly at the end of that big anniversary celebration. And then, of course, the campaign eventually made its way to being released. And since then, the roadmap has kind of gone dry with a lot of the promised additions and features getting progressively pushed back and kicked down the road further and further. And this story from PC Gamer talking about how Halo Infinite's lead multiplayer designer has left 343 Industries altogether. And this is not the first major departure.
Bye, have a great time.
Bye. Have a great time. I love it. I'm going to kick it over to you guys because I know, it's been kind of an interesting journey with the hype and subsequent kind of like, okay, now what are we really doing? Roadmap for Halo, especially since they decided to go the game as a service route. I'll kick it over to you, Brad. I mean, do you think that the multiplayer designer leaving 343 is something to be concerned about?
100%. 1,000%. When you have the original designers leaving after the launch, when there's a whole platform of promised content, aka why it's called Halo Infinite, it sounds like it's more Halo Finite, because I really don't see a lot of what is promised coming anytime soon. I mean, we talk about bashing on PlayStation and Sony for not having those exclusives in the pipeline. I'm going to bash Xbox, I'm going to bash 343 for really underwhelming post of really successful launch. You need to have this strategy mapped out, not just from the beginning, but beyond, and being able to deliver time in and time out on what you promise. If you're going to advertise it, you got to deliver. And what I'm not seeing right now, I'm not seeing any. What's getting me excited for season 2? Like, there's no campaign co-op. There's a few new maps. I mean, what is that going to give me? Like,
nothing.
I'm feeling very like, I committed. I got super pumped about this game. It's been a long time since we've had a Halo game. And now I'm done. It was a great 3 months. Bye.
Ouch. That is I mean, you guys are Halo super fans. Like I like Halo, but I know you guys that were just so all in on that release. I'm one to talk. I blitzkrieged the battle pass, but that's a different conversation. But I mean, that's saying something, man, right? That you were there day one, you were ready to go, and now you're just saying, you know what? We're kind of taking a break until we figure out like what's going on and what their vision is.
Bruno, when was the last time we played it? Be honest.
It's been a while. I wanted to get on and play this week because they have the new mode out with a new helmet that looks really cool. But these it's tedious, right? It's it's very cumbersome to get on and play because you've got to complete these challenges that rely on other players a lot of the time. It's not just it's not just, you know, go in and get this many kills or play an X amount of number of games.
Who wants to get 100 assists?
Yeah.
Like
that's
like
nobody wants that. Or
I'll
something
soften them
like,
up for you.
You know, the one for SWAT is you have to get so many killjoys. So that requires you to go up against a team that has a guy that can get a killing spree, and then you have to be the one to kill the person who has the killing spree. So I keep expecting them to come out with something and it to be better, but from the start, it's just kind of, is he gonna land it?
Oh man.
Did it look good? Woo! Okay.
Oh man. It's like that that Cartoon Network was that Cartoon Helpline thing they did where the guy calls in because he's about to fall off the cliff. He's like, okay, now there's gonna be an outline of you in the ground, and hopefully we'll hear an accordion noise.
But there is no accordion noise. It's just utter silence. And one of the funny things that I showed earlier this week was just a simple post that the social media team did on Halo. And it had something along the lines of, you know, what do you want to see or something like that. And it completely opened the door for just a flood of hate of like, you know, what are you doing? Why are you not giving us an update? We want more content. This isn't a joke. Like, you know, it just seemed very out of touch with what's going on at the company and versus like what fans are expecting from this game. And that's a problem.
Yeah. Wasn't there another one that said like, having fun yet? I'm like, no.
They disabled comments on that.
Yeah, they had to disable comments on that because it was like, are you having fun yet? And everyone's answer was a resounding no.
No,
we're not. We're not having fun. So they had to literally disable comments from a post that they made on Instagram that was completely out of touch with the fan base. Talk about all you want about, you know, oh, there's still a bunch of people that play it and that kind of thing. Yeah, there is. You know, there is a lot of content for a lot of core players that are still playing it, but I guarantee you none of them have earned anything outside of these events that spring up. It's just not there. There's not enough content there for them to do what they've wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Like they released it too early, way too early. That's my thing. Like they crushed Battlefield. Battlefield can say what you want, but it's like, did you have less content than that? Because it's not like Halo Infinite was flooded, right, with all of this content. It was pretty bare bones. The least amount of maps ever released, I believe, in terms of like multiplayer maps, right? So I mean, it's very, very out of touch. And you're right, Brad. It's a problem. It's a problem when people leave a company. It's a problem when they have positions to fill. Have you ever worked at a corporate office before and your boss left and things are kind of in limbo for a couple weeks? That's what's happening. That's what we're seeing right now. That is a very real thing. So anytime anyone leaves from a company, they don't have someone like in line to replace them. And it's like, here's our new multiplayer lead, you know, coming over from Call of Duty is going to be helping us out. It's like, there's no one. You can go on Microsoft.com right now, go under careers and apply yourself if you want to. There's plenty of jobs open right now at 343 if you want a job.
and then you lose consistency, right? So whatever made the initial launch of the game successful is now going to change because the content, the way it's delivered, how it feels is not going to be consistent with how it originally played. Now, that may lend to be cool in some ways because it feels fresh and different, but now you're going to get a very choppy game as it ages, right? You're going to be like, wow, I want to go back to the original release and the original content, season 1. That really hit home for me because you're going to get into season 8 and it's going to be, what is this? Like, it's evolved so much because there's been so much turnover in the corporation and the company.
That might be a good thing.
What? You never know, right?
You know,
I think a solution for them, what we've seen is so many of the core passionate gamers like ourselves grinded and sprinted through season 1. Let's try out a quicker turnaround on seasons. That way you streamline the content, you make the challenges harder so there's a time element to it and the rewards are more significant and the turnaround on seasons is quicker. That way you don't have these major lulls at the end of a season. We're waiting for May, right? We're just sitting here going, come on, May, let's get here. I'm ready for the next season.
And
Flip
here's
it around,
the issue.
Make it quicker and deliver the content.
Here's the issue, right? Let's remember back when Halo Infinite first started and what they told us was the original idea. The original idea seemed great with us because there was no FOMO, right? You can complete any battle pass anytime you want. Anytime you feel like playing a battle pass, you can start the battle pass. You have to finish it, obviously, before you start another one, but you've got that content there. So then why are we waiting so long for season 2?
Yeah.
That's the point. Like, the point is, if we can complete these at any given time, then you're right, Brad. They should have simultaneously released with like 3 different battle passes that you could have chosen. One for the original Armor Core, one for Halo Reach, and then one for the Samurai Uri event. If they had done that from the get-go and said, here's all the content right up front, you choose what battle pass you want to do, I guarantee you people would still be playing to this day. There would still be something else in the works for people. And maybe that's what they're doing for season 2, right? Maybe they're going to release multiple things in season 2, but I doubt it. I think it's going to be the same thing where we get kind of this I think they're doing something very steampunkish and minor like. It looks very Fallout 76. You know, which is going to appeal to some people, not really to me, not really my cup of tea, but I want the cool Halo 5 type armor that they had, or something from Halo 4, right? Or even Halo 3. I would love those armor pieces to make it into the game, but they're going a different direction. But if you don't have all this content released, why? There's no explanation for it based on what they told us, other than maybe they're going back and they decided to change things, in which case you need to update people and let them know. Because here we are 4 months, 5 months into the game, and it's pretty much dead. It's pretty much dead in terms of like content that you can really get out of it. Sure, like I said, they just released this thing this week with that, but it's kind of like it's too little too late. Right? Like, especially with the delay of co-op. That's a downer. That means there's going to be a delay of any other modes that
Forge
might come along.
Pushed back too.
Yeah, Forge is going to get pushed back. There goes my timeline for something like a Battle Royale added to the game, unless that's what the developers said that needed to happen, right? Unless they completely switch gears and we're like, nope, we need to focus on this, otherwise it's going to completely die. I don't think that's the case either. Like, I honestly think there's just no content.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know.
How that gets exacerbated is for players like Nick, who really love a diverse range of games. If you have no inclination to go pick this up for months on end, you're going to now get into other games. I mean, you're talking about playing Elden Ring. You've played so many other games, like, and now you're getting lost in the immersive content of that game. How likely you are to go pick back up Halo? Like, even if they drop something, you're like, oh, my time is allocated right now to these other games that I'm really enjoying. Like, Nick, how likely are you going to go back and pick it up?
I mean, I think I will at some point, but I think it's going to get the same treatment that other Game Pass titles like Sea of Thieves that happen to be a game as a service get for me, which is I come back to it once every couple of months just to be like, oh, hey, they did some stuff, and, you know, where was I? And check it out, and maybe I like it, maybe I don't, but I just don't stick with it. Yeah, it's tough because I think that Halo at its core needs to be an experience, especially in multiplayer. You're playing with friends, and you feel like you are a part of an actual competitive environment. I have railed on this many times. We've talked about it. It's been one of our more viral TikToks of people kind of sharing with our misery of the fact that the battle, not even the battle pass, but just the challenge system takes the Halo away from Halo. The same thing would happen with any other game if that's the only thing you had to focus on, is that everybody's in these lobbies. They're not playing Halo, man. They're trying to get that killjoy. They're trying to get the assist. Think about how dramatically it changes your gameplay style when you have an objective that tells you to not kill somebody. So now, if I'm thinking, man, I got to get this challenge done this week before the timer's reset, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to whittle a guy down with the assault rifle, get his shield down, and then wait for someone else to kill him. That's a radically different way of playing, and it sabotages your own team. But that's exactly what you can see it in even in the competitive modes, because people need the battle rifle kills, right? And you get that as part of your default loadout. So you need those precision headshots. So they're going to go into that mode. It's inescapable from what I've heard, aside from the really high tiers, you know, diamond, way beyond diamond, and then that kind of thing, where you're kind of heading into pro territory. That's Halo right now. I can feel it when I go into these games. It doesn't feel like a bunch of people that are actually trying to win. And until you have an XP system that rewards wins more and puts less emphasis on completing challenges, I don't think we're ever going to reach that point. So, Epic Capture, to answer your question there, I think Bruno, the Bruno Stradamus, you kind of got it from all of us, right? Of what needs to happen, like Bruno said.
I'll give you the quick rundown what needs to happen. They need to take a play out of Fortnite. Despite what you might say out of people who like Fortnite or dislike it, they need to take a play from Fortnite and go ahead and release some content. Know that you are going to be able to create more. Right? You need to know that you've got more in your back pocket. You've got to open that door though and say, you know, we might do some silly things like flowers that they have there, or the kitty ears and stuff. We've already gone down that. You can't limit yourself and say, you know, hey, we're going to make it super serious, right? There's got to be a balance. But if you really want to change Halo, you got to add more content. And you got to make the challenges easier. That's the two basic things. And if you look at Fortnite, whenever you play Fortnite, some of the challenges are super simple, right? Like all you got to do is play a match. Thank the bus driver, right?
Yeah.
That is the easiest one. You press down on the D-pad when you're in the bus. It says, thank you, bus driver. And then if you do that 10 times, you get XP. Right? Maybe that's something simple of like, you know, you teabagging twice. All you got to do is teabag. Then you've added something hilarious to the game that is super amazing. People would definitely do it. Yes. Go ahead and teabag more. You need to teabag an opponent twice in your next game. Right?
Embrace that toxicity. Come on.
I don't know.
Sprinkle
give us something. Give us something that Halo players legitimately want to do. And you'll have them crying to, oh, I remember back in the day when you had to work really hard to get armor and blah 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 and all this. But we're not there anymore, losers. Okay? You know what does talking? My wallet. Because I got a job, I got some monies, and I'm willing to spend it on cosmetics. Okay, if you don't want to spend your money like that, that's fine. but you've got to realize that you're not going to. These companies aren't going to make a living if they don't continually put out cosmetic items. And if you limit yourself, you've got crap.
You make a great point, Bruno, right? That's what makes Fortnite, even beyond the simple challenges, something you have to be. It's like an itch. It's like your phone. You have to check it daily. What new cosmetics are in the shop? What are they dropping? What new packages? What can I unlock? Like, there's almost this daily itch to hop on just to see what's in the store, which then once you're plugged in, you're like, I'll play around. Or when you buy a new skin, you're like, I got to test this out. I got that new skin vibes. I'm going to get a dubs. Like, you have to do that.
Otherwise, you play Halo Infinite and you spend $6 on a gun skin that looks like a Cheeto. It looks like a flaming hot Cheeto. It was supposed to look like a cool wolf on the screen, but no, they forgot that this game's played in first person and not in third person. And so on the screen right there in your thing, like you've got a little turd, a little Cheeto turd sitting there. I mean, come on.
That's harsh, but I'll tell you, Bruno, if I wanted a high quality graphic design for my gun, you know where I would go? PierceUnlimited.com. That's right. Who happens to be today's sponsor. Thanks so much for marketing media that works and bespoke design to power your business. Visit PierceUnlimited.com. Seriously, check it out. Whatever you might be in the market for, could be podcast production or even advertising consultation. The list goes on and on for your business. Whatever your business needs may be, stop on by. You get a free quote today. Tell them we sent you. Tell them the McMuffin brothers, the brothers McMuffin sent you.
Yeah,
you might get an Egg McMuffin. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't make the rules.
Who knows? I don't. I don't either.
Shout out McDonald's. I would love a free McMuffin. Just hollering at you.
We're loving it.
Pretty good.
Man. Well, okay, before we call it a wrap here, Bruno, we've got to get in because, I've been personally chronicling your misadventures through Elden Ring. Tell us what you think about the game so far, man, because you're normally not an RPG guy.
No, I am not, and I gotta tell you, this is kind of my style of play. Really, because when I like to play RPGs, I like to level up my character as much as I possibly can and then go take down the bosses with a couple swings and just make it easy for myself. And Elden Ring forces you to do that. It's not a matter of I should probably do this. No, you have to do this in order to level up. And it's a lot of fun. I really understand why people love the Dark Souls games. I understand why they're so difficult now and why everyone says they're so extremely difficult, because they are. Like, a single hit can take you down and there's nothing you can do about it. Sometimes you run into battle thinking you're just going to go over here and check something out, and then all of a sudden...
Yeah. It's a trap. Yep.
Death.
You died.
Absolute death. Death. Death again. One more time, there's death. Is that death? Death. Okay? It's all death. You died. That's what I see on there. Sometimes I make it to a little spot where I can sit down and have a bit of peace of mind. I just sit there, and there are these things called like what are they called? Torchlight Nicks?
The Sights of Grace.
Sights of Grace. Oh, what a great name for a sight of grace. Yeah. I go there and sit down and no one comes after me, and it's a good time. We had a good time. I finally get there. But everything and anything in this game is willing to kill you. Okay? The reason that it's better than all the Dark Souls games is the open world aspect, right? The fact that you can go anywhere and do anything. This map is huge. Massive. I mean, it's the biggest map I've ever seen in a game. You go through this entire thing and you think, well, I must have seen it all. And then you realize you've only unlocked like a third of the map. Like, it's incredibly huge. It's the stuff of legends. There's nothing else to say about a map like this, and just the sheer amount of things that you see here. I was walking along, and in the fog, I saw this giant mountain with bells hanging from its balls, and it was swinging around and had like a temple on top, and it was surrounded by a bunch of people. I didn't want to mess with it. It didn't seem like something that was very inviting to me. Yeah. So
yeah, that was a walking mausoleum, and it is a bad time. Yeah, you're gonna want to stay away from that. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing or where I'm going.
That's the beauty of it.
I enjoy the journey. I really do.
Yeah,
I do. And I keep sending memes to Brad. Maybe Brad will see it someday and say, maybe I'll decide to pick it up. He'll decide to go to that little church, church right out there, and he'll ask for directions from what seems
the nice
like a
man
very
on the horse.
regal nice.
I'm going to be the one guy who doesn't play this game just because it's gotten so much hype. I'm going to wait like 3 years and then play it and be like, you know what? Check what I'm playing right now.
Yeah.
Elden Ring.
Game of the Year
There's
edition.
still going to be people that are playing it, That's the thing, right? It's so massive. There's so many things to unlock. I really need help getting through a bunch of this stuff. And you get to a point and you're like, I don't know what I'm going into, but I'm ready for the adventure. I will say it's also one of the scariest games I've ever played. Like, it is downright frightening in times. And whoever just imagined this world, kudos to you. My hat is off because it's incredible. Absolutely
George R.
incredible.
Martin's got some scary inner demons.
He's got some scary dreams.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what he's eating before bedtime.
He's carbing up. He's carbo loading before bed, and he's having these fever dreams.
I don't know, but the man needs to lay off the double crunch wraps before bed, or send me,
Well, speaking of double crunch wraps, Bruno, we've got to give a plug to our website, quitthebuild.com, because we have got, if you haven't been on our blog recently, let me tell you something. You are missing out on an adventure. We have got so many people from our QTB crew that have been putting some amazing articles out there. Never been a better time to check out our blog. Shout out to Terry, who did a hilarious, but also very practical guide to how to cook your Pokemon. We always talk about catching Pokemon, but at the end of the day, like we talked about in our last episode, there's a lot of edible Pokemon out there, that can be repurposed. You got them sitting in Bill's PC. Let's turn them into something delicious, and that's exactly what he does. He breaks down 6 different recipes to make a 3-course meal for you and your loved ones, including, a Nashville hot combustion sandwich, some Kingler stuffed shroom caps, you name it, man. A lot of fun. Ooh, chef's kiss, that's right.
Yeah, go out there and make a Pokemon dish for your loved one and woo their pants off.
I think he should open up a Pokemon-themed restaurant with those menus. We just got to come up with a clever name for him.
Yeah, they have those poke cafes in Japan, but it's just like Pokemon themed food. It doesn't actually have the Pokemon in there. So I mean, come on.
That you know of.
That as far as you know. Yes. Okay, Lil John. I can't prove it's not happening. Also, Amanda doing a great Minecraft article, over the years, we've had so many changes and additions to Minecraft that it can be tough to jump in all these years later. So she has a great article kind of breaking down the 10 things that you need to know, kind of the unspoken rules of Minecraft to help get you a jump start. And then we even have Justin, our resident speedrunner, who does an entire article as an introduction to speedrunning if you're looking into getting into that, a great way to figure out how to break into that skill set and learn how to play games real fast. A lot of great stuff waiting for you at the blog. Of course, don't forget about our merch and our community page where you can link up with all of our socials. How about that? What do you think about that, Brad?
Yeah, shout out to everyone on TikTok who says I never talk on this show. Guess what? I brought it tonight. That's for you listeners out there.
Yeah.
So I do have a perspective. I just sit back and listen and let my bros, Nick and Bruno, take the lead. But I came tonight, and this is for you. So check us out on TikTok. We're going to see me coming at you with some hot takes.
There's going to be a Brad week. It's going to be a Brad week on TikTok. Yep.
Bruno, hit him with all the other socials.
Oh, I thought you wanted to. Okay, so we're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We are on Instagram. Hey, guess what? You're probably wanting to talk to us on Discord because we have one of those too. Or just go to QTB. No, don't go to QTB.
Don't go to QTB.
It's not a thing. It's
something else.
It's a Japanese news site.
They don't even use it, man.
They don't even use it. If you know the person at QTB.com who would want to give us the website,
and you have a translator. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a translator. Let us know. But if you go to quitthebuild.com/community, that one will work. That'll take you to all of our socials. You can go connect with us on whatever platform is your jam, you know? I mean, except for Snapchat, we're pretty much, because what are we going to do? Snap something? No, that's not us, okay?
That ain't us.
I'm just letting you know right now.
We don't snap, we just clap.
Right? So anyway, I don't know how to end this. Nick, how you want me to end it?
Just say something nice for the people.
Something nice for the people. Here we go. That's the nicest thing I can think of, is to give you the sweet 90s sound of saxophones breaking through your ears, supermarket sweet style. Wow, that was a lot of alliteration. We're talking about the Quit the Build podcast. For Nick and Brad, I'm Bruno.
For Bruno and Brad, I'm Nick.
And for all our TikTok listeners and my brothers McMuffin, Bruno and Nick, I'm Brad.
Peace out. What it do?